We are reviewing the 93,000 series Catalyst switches. Well, basically the 9300 series Catalyst switches, they're access switches. So they're deployed at small offices where clients basically patch into them, and our switches connect to our routers, which in turn connect to the wide area network providers, the ISP providers, and yeah. Well, first of all, they're incredibly reliable. I must admit, I can't recall ever us losing a switch, which is a wonderful thing. And also, I like the fact that you can stack multiple switches. Basically, logically, they act as one switch, but physically, there are a bunch of switches that you connect together. Yeah, the solution seems pretty neat, and yeah, it just works. I think the actual upgrades of the switches can be improved because there is a bit of downtime when that happens. Um, in other words, there is an outage to clients' connections whenever we upgrade a switch, provided that the software that we're loading needs to be rebooted. So I think that there is a neater way of doing it rather than rebooting the whole stack, which takes out the whole switch. Um, because of that, we're forced into doing the upgrades after hours, outside of business hours. So yeah, improvements into getting that process a bit neater would be a good thing. I would say a nine. Well, obviously, as what Cisco recommends, those are access layer switches, which means those are the switches that clients directly connect to. They're not the ones they use for routing. For that, we use routers. That is a good question. Unfortunately, I don't think we use a lot of the automation additional features that these devices may be capable of. We just basically run them for the basic functionality that they have, which is switching. No, unfortunately, again, just like the previous answer, we don't use a lot of customization. Just a basic setup, basically access switches, and they're only used for that purpose. Well, we've used the previous model of Cisco switches, which were the 3850s, 2960s, and they performed in a similar manner. Really reliable, but I can see um, they needed to be updated, and we've done that. Obviously, we're running now the next generation 9300 series switches. Well, the main objective of these devices is to facilitate communication for our clients. So um, they are definitely fit for purpose, as they say. So they deliver what we expect out of them. Basically, they never fail. The performance that we get out of them, it's exactly what we expected. So obviously, they perform really well. Um, but obviously, the ultimate measure of how well the whole network performs is how well the whole network is engineered. But looking at only these 9300s, they certainly are doing their part. They're doing a great job. Okay, I'm not exactly in tune with as to how much they cost, but I know they cost a bit of money. Um, yes, that is actually a great question. And the only thing that I can say is I've heard from other engineers that have used other products. I I do think that Cisco products are a little bit more overpriced. Yes, I do understand they are reliable, but others may be as well. and they may provide additional speeds or additional features that the Cisco product may not. But us being a department, we prefer to have reliability over. We don't just look at the costs. We're more interested in as to what else they deliver and how well they integrate in the network. Very happy so far. So I can't think of any issues with them. Yeah, they certainly do. Obviously, whenever they're promoted, they put out all the best features about them, but doesn't mean that the client may be using all of those. So they'll probably talk about the ones, the Rolls Royce of things that they may do. But for those additional features, Cisco, just like every other company, will try to squeeze a bit more out of the client. You need to have this DNA advantage. You need to do this. You need this licensing. And of course, to enable those features, you need to spend more money. So it's, I guess, not an ideal way. But out of the box, they certainly are wonderful devices. Yes. So basically, what I generally do is I would do some basic testing. So I understand the product before I start deploying it at client sites. It didn't take long. Me having a Cisco background, it wasn't hard to set them up and deploy them basically. But once they're out there, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. So it's just a walk in the park, basically deploying them. I absolutely. Well, we have been and we continue to do so. Well, we use SolarWinds as a monitoring solution in our network. Um, and from a networking perspective, that's it. Basically, a couple of Cisco products like routers and switches, and that's it. Well, I have to say, again, just like the products we're reviewing today, they are off solid devices. We've hardly had any issues with those. So, yeah.